Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Speak Up Erika podcast. And today our guest is Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Erika.
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
Good. So Debbie, would you share your story with us and who you are?
Um, my name is Debbie Ali. My story is a little bit complex, but first of all, let me say that I'm a counselor. I'm a coach. Of course, I'm an author, and I'll mention a little bit more about the book later on. So I'm an author, a counselor, a coach, and I do a lot of consulting in terms of personal safety. In fact, the theme of my company is creating safe spaces. So whether it's your physical environment becoming a safe space, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, safe spaces. Okay, and that's the angle that I take with my counseling as well. The name of my company is 3GL Consulting. So my story goes way back to 2006, where I was abducted from inside of my home on my birthday, no less. Yes, on my birthday in December. So I was held hostage for 14 days and 14 nights for ransom. Was held for ransom. For some reason, these criminals seemed to, they had the impression that we were wealthy, which we were not. And this happened back in Trinidad, which is where I lived at the time, where I was born. And during those 2 weeks, which is what my book Bare Feet gets into, traumatic, to me it's just a word, really. It doesn't begin to describe that type of horror, that type of fear, because for the full duration of that time you're just literally waiting to die, because you've got no idea what's happening on the outside. If negotiations are successful or not, you just and even if they, the men who were guarding me, I had no idea if what they were saying was actually the truth, right? So in any event, during those 2 weeks I was basically tortured in every way conceivable. I mean, I'm like barely 5 feet. I was a lot slimmer than I am now, and these men that grabbed me were like a minimum 6'3", 6'5", right? Really big, muscular guys, with weapons, right? And steel tip boots and all of that. And I was really, really badly beaten by these guys. I mean, the first night I was thrown into a hole in the ground. It was kind of like a dumping ground some people use it as a dumping ground. It's at least 6 or 7 feet deep. And what they did was they took one of the curtains from my house and they rolled me into that and threw me into that hole. So, and of course I was blindfolded. So it's like, you can't brace, or you don't even know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I just was thrown, and my body got really, really, severely injured. My back especially. And I spent the first night in the rain on my birthday in that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time my kids were very young. My son was 8, almost 8, and my daughter was 6. She had just turned 6, and all I could think of was, them, right? And I remember crying for 3 days, non-stop. crying for 3 days, could not eat, tried drinking, water, juice, stuff like that. Everything would come back out. I'd just be throwing up. I went into uh, I was beaten and kicked, steel tip boots. I was chained up. The way they string people up, like in the movies, with their arms above. I was strung up like that for a couple hours a while, and tortured for, they wanted more information about my family and money and stuff like that. And then I during the course of that time also I was raped 3 times, very, very brutally. And given the size of these men, I fought all that I could, but it's just so much you can do, especially when you're tied up. You can't even. There's only so much you can fight, right? And of course, there was the fear of contracting HIV and all of that. And but what was incredible about my experience, as horrific as it all sounds, what was incredible was from the moment these men entered my house until maybe about 5 or 6 days after, there was one word that I kept saying. There was just one word. They could not get information out of me because I was delirious. I was that badly beaten. I was dehydrated. I was raped. I even the questions I could not answer even if I wanted to because I was delirious, right? And with pain and stuff. But the name of Jesus was the one word that I kept saying for like 5 days nonstop. I was really starved for sleep as well. I could not sleep. And after a couple of days, I realized, you know what? I started examining my life. Okay, so what did I do to deserve this? Okay, where did I go wrong? Okay. And I literally examined everything in my life up until that point that, I may have hurt someone or something to have caused this horrible thing to happen to me. And there was nothing I could find because I grew up as this quiet little church girl that, I went to church, I went to school, and I was at home. That was it, right? And the first boyfriend I had was my husband. We got married. I had my kids. I've been faithful. I've been taking care of my family. I've been working. I was like, wow. And then after a while, I stopped. I said, listen, if this is the way that I'm meant to go, then I'm not going to fight it, So I just kind of surrendered. I did. I literally surrendered everything, that whole situation, my kids. I surrendered them to God. And I said, listen, this is what you want. I gave you my life when I was a very young girl. So if this is the way you want it to be, okay, I'm good. I'm good. And with that, I stopped crying. And the very same person he was called a keeper because his responsibility was to keep me alive, basically, until they received their ransom money. And this man was like a beast. I mean, like in size, in the way he dealt with me, everything. It was like nothing short of a beast. And that night when I surrendered everything, I always refer to it as Daniel Lion's Den, because literally the next day he did a total 180. He was suddenly very, very caring. He was taking care of me. He started speaking to me gently, trying to elicit information, but in a very gentle manner. And over that 2 week period, we started talking about all kinds of things, from politics to religion to you name it. We spoke about it. And the gist of it is the conversations we had, he was especially interested in religion. I don't know why, but and he admitted to me that he was a murderer. He told me how many people he killed and
Wow.
the manner in which he killed some of them. And you know, he was just, that was like a regular conversation. It was not like, oh my God, I did that, or it was just like, so I had a bowl of popcorn with my movie, you know, like that, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't like, huh?
Yeah.
These things. But after all our talks, he literally, he asked if for my forgiveness. He started crying. He
Wow.
asked for me to forgive him, if I would be willing to forgive him. And I always tell people, and it's in my book as well, that it was never me having those conversations. It was me, but it was like I was outside of my body looking at myself.
Right.
Because a regular person would not forgive this man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would not say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll be your friend. I'll forgive you." After you did what to me?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was like, so it was me, but it was like because I gave everything to God, it was like God through me. And I forgave him, I really did. And I accepted his apology. And that's when he asked if he could be my friend. And I said yes. And he vowed, he promised to protect me with his life. And he would not let anyone touch me, harm me, and that I would get home to my kids.
Wow.
And that was like, you know, I sort of believed him, but, you
Right.
know, but I knew God was in charge anyway. So, and then what he did one day was he untied me, because for those 14 days, I saw no light. I was totally blindfolded. There was a mask over my head. I was handcuffed to the side of a bed, both hands, and my feet were in tie straps. So after a while, after he became my friend, he left me untied, and he said, "Listen, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna clear a path for you.
Mm-hmm.
Try to estimate around 20 minutes, and then run." Okay. And you know, of course, I was like, should I believe him? Is this a trick? I'm trying to think logic. Um, but there was something inside of me that said, don't move.
Yeah.
Okay. Because and the reason was not because I didn't trust him. Voice I heard said, if he will die, they would kill him. And Jesus didn't come to the earth to condemn and kill. He came to save, which was the very same lesson I was teaching this man about forgiveness. So how could I then leave and they kill him? But at the same time, am I not justified?
Right.
Right? But I never moved, and he came back and he was so mad. You know, he was like trashing things out. He was so mad that I did not run. He said, I cleared. Why didn't you run? And when I explained my reasoning to him, he started crying.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I can't believe that you would even think of my life. And again, it was me, but it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And from that night on, he slept on the bed with me. He never touched me, but, you know, he just slept on the bed with me. And anyway, ransom was paid, and I was released. And I got back home to my kids and everything, and everyone thought, okay, that's fine, yay, yes, yay. But that's where the real problem begins, because now you've got to deal with what was done to you. You've got to deal with the effects it's had on your husband, the effects it's had on your kids, your mom, you know, everyone around, right? And this is why I've done so much, the kind of counseling that I've done, because people never really think you know, the trauma is that's one part of it, right? Whether it's, you know, physical abuse, mental, emotional abuse, whether you've been raped, whether whatever. What about after? See, nobody thinks about after. Nobody thinks about the people around you in your life, right? And I've had to deal with that for a long time to get to where I am. And now during those 2 weeks, I also developed certain techniques. I use certain mind over body, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The strength of the mind.
Okay.
Sometimes I would use colors to dissolve my pain. Because I was in tremendous pain. Of course, this would be temporary, but it was exhausting me, right? I learned how to reduce my heart rate so that I won't sweat as much during the day. And at night when I was shivering, I learned how to make myself feel warm, even though it was cold, so that I could be a little more comfortable. All kinds of things. And then in the aftermath, I've been to psychologists, psychiatrists, you name it. I've been to all kinds of different people to supposedly try to help me deal with what happened. Nobody could help. And the reason I think it's because what I've learned is, I'm not crying down their profession at all. In no way. They've learned what they've learned. It's got value. But their approach to victims and survivors, it's what threw me off. There was not one of them who could truly relate to me. Not one of them. And that's where I was able to succeed where they couldn't. These people who came to me and people who come to me, as the minute our eyes meet, they know that I know. There is an instant, okay, she gets it. You know, when I say that I want to slit my wrist, she gets it. She's been there, and I have been there. You know, there was one time my husband had to literally break down my bedroom door, and I was just about to like this, and he had to stop me. And there was a time the rapes especially were haunting me, and I started rubbing myself on the walls because I felt like there were worms eating away at me. That's what it felt like. And that didn't work, so I started scraping my skin. But I did not really know how much pressure I was putting in. I was actually digging into myself to get those worms out, and he had to stop me. So it's, all of these things people don't really think about when they address survivors of rape or abuse, any kind of abuse. And so one of the most important parts of my experience is maybe about 3 days before I was actually released, I had a death experience. Now, I call it a death experience because even though I say that I died, there are many people who don't believe that I actually died. They think it was a near-death experience, which it could have been. But in any event, I left my body because I looked down and I saw me, and I saw the room that I was in, and I saw the position of my body, and I looked at my chest and I said, but my chest is not moving. Why is my chest moving?
Yeah.
And I realized, oh crap, I'm dead. But there was no fear. There was no like, oh my God. There was no fear. There was no terror. There was nothing but peace.
Wow.
And I go into great detail on my death experience in my book, because that's the crux of my message. Jesus walked, there was a brilliant white light, and Jesus walked out of that light. And he doesn't look the way that we think he looks. He doesn't. And I knew it was him, and I dared not look at his face, and I just dropped to the ground. There was no ground, but I dropped. And I dared not even touch, like, I not even touch, like, even remotely close to his little toe, but I was in so much ecstasy and bliss and joy and peace just being that close to his feet. It was indescribable. And that, and him holding me after, has carried me through all of these years. He picked me up and he held me like a newborn baby, literally like a newborn baby, but I was an adult. And he cradled me and he said, "It's okay. You're gonna rest. You're gonna rest now. It's okay." And I remember just snuggling on his chest, literally like a baby, and I slept. And when I woke up, I was on the beaches of heaven. And I mean, it's too much to get into right now, but it's all in my book. My experience with him and the angels and some of the saints, Mother Mary in particular, who's always close to me, Archangel Michael, who's always close to me. And this is where God showed me the book, Bare Feet. And he said, "Listen, you're going to write a book. It's going to be named Bare Feet. It's going to look like this. This is what you're going to say." You know, I got all my instructions. And so this book was really, took me 3 years to write, because you can imagine, you know, because of how difficult. The republication is coming very, very soon, with minor changes and some additions to it. But I know I heard the voice of God, and that was it, and that was my job. That's my job now, and has always been, helping people who've been through what I've been through and worse. And I never belittle what someone goes through to say, okay, they're depressed. Okay, I never say, oh, okay. No, it's just as real to them as my depression was to me. So I've been through the whole thing: depression, anxiety, panic attacks, being on heavy medication and having to wean off of it, suicide, wanting to be reckless and try drugs and alcohol and all kinds of, you know, I've been around the whole circle. I know what it feels like. So when I say I know, I really know, you know, and then having to hide that pain from your kids so they can think mommy's okay. You know, it's been a rough road, but what I've learned, and I'm still learning, irreplaceable. Irreplaceable.
Debbie, that's such an incredible story that you shared with us. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I think one question I have would be, what is one tip or one thing to help people who have been going through what you have? Do you have like a certain advice that you can give someone?
Every situation is different.
Yeah.
There's not one real tip.
Yeah.
Now I can say something very vague, like have faith, be strong. But, and while that is true, please bear in mind that I can actually teach you how to. Because people have told me that, Debbie, you've got to be strong for your kids. Oh, you're so brave, or this or that, the other, but nobody teaches you how. And that's what I do. I teach people how to be brave, how to have faith, how to have strong, how to be strong, how to uphold that strength. But what I can say is this, and that's the message that God, the words that God said to me. Whoever you think God is, these are the words that God said to me. I'll leave it, and you should hold on to this. I'm God. I see all that happens. I see and hear all that happens in the darkness and in the light, and I save. Very simple. He sees everything. He knows you're suffering. He knows, even though trust me, most of the time you think he doesn't. He knows and he sees, and he does save. but his timing is not ours. And we've got to learn to understand that what seems to be 5 long years on this earth, it's a snap of a finger in that realm. But he saves, he does, and he's watching, and he sends people, the right people, to save and to help you. And help is there, help is out there. Take courage. It sounds vague. I feel stupid saying it because...
No, it's not stupid.
For someone who has been really traumatized, having someone say, have faith, have courage, sounds stupid. It sounds stupid to them because they know what they're feeling. So that's why I feel stupid saying it, because I know what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I mean, I'm here. I make my services available to everyone, regardless of race, color, age, gender. I do not care. I do not even care what your religion is. God is God. All right? God is God. And I'm here to help everyone that I can. Feel free to reach out to me. That's my purpose. I will help you as long as you reach out to me.
Thank you, Debbie. And would you be able to say your information, how people can reach out to you?
Well, my website is almost finished.
Mm-hmm.
It's called 3GL Consulting.
Okay.
What I can do is leave my phone number and my email address.
Okay.
And anyone can contact me through those two means until my website is finished. My company is 3GL Consulting. You can email me at 3glconsulting.com. Or you can try 3GL consulting.com, either one. Or if you want to try my number, it's 647-673-1220. And I will certainly do what I can to help whomever I can, whether it's through Zoom or on the phone. That's what I do.
Thank you, Debbie. I'll also put it in the podcast notes so people will be able to contact you.
Oh, great. No problem.
And
my book is Bare Feet.
Yes.
The book is called Bare Feet. Now it's the old version, meaning it's the first version. And it is available on Amazon as a Kindle book. But the revised version will be out very soon. The name more or less stays the same, Bare Feet, because when I was taken bare feet. And when I met Jesus, he was also bare feet, hence the name Bare Feet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Sure.
I hope people can also find a way to cope with whatever they're dealing with your story, and it can help them in some way too. I know it's really touched me. Kind of emotional right now, but thank you so much, Debbie.
That's no problem. And I know that, let me just end by saying that speaking out, I think this is a wonderful platform. And there are many people who need to speak out, whether it's rape, whether it's wife abuse, regardless of what it is. We need to stand up and we need to speak. We need to say what horror of this is and what it does to people. We need to be out there as women. We need to stop fighting each other as women, and we need to band together. And it's not just this whole race thing. It's minority groups. And you know what? Like it or not, and I'll say it as it is, women are being neglected. The needs of women are being neglected. Women who have been through horrible situations and their children. And somebody needs to say something, and very, very soon, I'm going to be on every platform available saying just that.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening.